Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division for the Phantom Mansion in the Haunted Mansion tournament. This is the Chateau Lavande, but with a Halloween theme. Before we take a closer look, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. For those of you that do want to improve your game even more, scan the QR code here on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Get one of our tour and tournament guides and start improving your game. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. For the more aggressive option, here we're gonna try to go for green. We're gonna use the small fairway path that is on the left there. The goal here is to bounce on the fairway that is after the rough line, and then we're gonna bounce down into the slope by the green and just stay by the green in some form. You can see here that I'm stretching out, trying to measure my adjustment. Adjustment is max plus 10, and here I'm using a power 5 ball because the power 5 ball will allow me to actually push for this, and even though in the end I'm using max over power, it's something that I would say even if you hit a great left or a great right, you could still be by the green if you are lucky, because this is a little lottery shot and everything needs to go your way. You see bounce, 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 right into the rough, rolls down, we stay by the green. Now we do have a very short wedge to lock in the eagle. However, this shot is not possible if you do not have tailwinds, so have that in mind. But it's a nice way of attacking the pin for a safe eagle. For hole number 1, this is the more conservative option. I will show you a more aggressive version as well. We're gonna use 4.5 bar topspin and 3 left spin, playing in between the two bushes there in the center. And we're gonna use our extra mile in this instance because we do not want to put ourselves in a problem when it comes to having not enough power. Adjustment is gonna be max plus 10, and once we have made that adjustment, we are going to focus very hard on hitting perfect. Because the fact is here, if you do hit a bad great, you will most likely roll into the rough. And rolling into rough here will most likely equal a situation where you're not gonna get the eagle. Now you can see here I'm hitting a great left and the ball bounces left and it gets very close to the rough line, which is obviously not what we want to do. Now ball comes lovely down there. We have an open shot towards the pin for an eagle. Second shot, now you can make a decision. As we are so close to the pin from min line there, we can either go a lot of backspin and go the roll back, or we can actually go for a dunk. It's up obviously to you to do whatever you feel comfortable with. You can obviously also play with a wedge, but be so far away with the wedge is definitely not something that I would recommend. So here I would change to a medium distance just to explain it as you play whatever club distance you are. You're gonna be somewhere around the minimum to medium distance of your club after a perfect drive. Center the ball, hit perfect, and with a dunk here, you give yourself a very good chance. Even if you do hit the pin, there are so much fairway and so much green before the rough starts that you will not roll into the rough even if you do hit the pin. That's why a dunk here could definitely be a sufficient way of playing this hole. But for those of you that do want to play a little bit more aggressive, pay attention to the aggressive option that comes now. For hole number 2, there is a rough bump possibility that is on the top left of the rough line. However, though, there is a big, nice sticky spot, as you can see there, wind wiggling left and right, and the ball guideline is not moving, and that's a spot we're gonna try to play into, not playing the little bit more aggressive rough bump. Using one backspin here and a little bit of left spin is what I judge, because the difficult part here is obviously if you do not have a fully developed ball guideline, then it's going to be difficult to know if you're gonna come in too hot or you're gonna come in too slow. True club distance, which is going to be at a 15% elevation, and I'm playing with a navigator ball here as there is no real need to play with anything else than a navigator ball in my opinion, because we don't need more side spin and the wind resistance is great. Bouncing on the fairway up towards the pin and it rolls a little bit short and a little bit right, but hole 2 offers a good chance for a drop. Hole number 3 is a fairly difficult par 5. You can see our opponent's logo on the top of the game screen. You can see it very soon. We have it there. Okay, so we do want to get up into that direction. However, we don't want to roll into the rough, obviously. So what we're gonna do is 4.5 bar top spin, 2 left spin. Adjustment is a max plus a 20, as this is a fairly downhill approach. Once we have done that, we're pushing up to max because we do want to get ourselves as much distance as possible on the fairway without having to use any overpower. Half a ball of left curl. Hit perfect. And the ball will then bounce on the fairway over the rough and the sand and roll nicely up. And now we do have a fairly decent shot for our Goliath. So what we need to think about here is when we do have a tailwind in this type of approach where we're going to do a rough bump is that we're going to adjust from a higher to a lower point. What that means is that we're going to lose distance, and then we need to compensate by adjusting less. And that is not an easy thing to just have in mind, because it's very easy to get lost in the, okay, it's going to be this adjustment, but then you kind of remember yourself once you have taken the shot that, okay, you need to compensate for dropping from a higher to a lower point like that, right? We're also playing this one slightly uphill, so my estimation of the elevation is minus 15% elevation, not the 0% elevation that I'm playing in the video. Because playing 0, you can see I'm bouncing very short in that rough and leaving the ball short, and that's not something that we want to do. So play the correct elevation, super important, especially when going from a higher to a lower point or lower to a higher point. For hole number 4, here I'm playing with a navigator. We're gonna play very close to minimum distance here. We're gonna play blue ring by the bunker and then bottom of the white ring by the bunker as well. 3 backspin, and here aiming to the pin. We want the ball guideline to be pointed towards the pin. So if that leads you to move the target a little bit left or right to apply that position, then do that. We're gonna play here medium distance plus 10 is what we're playing as adjustment. And I'm playing with a navigator as we're no need to do any heavy side spin. And then we're sticking with the navigator as the wind 2 is definitely very sufficient when you're playing from the front tees. Bouncing on the fairway nicely, up towards the pin, and coming in unfortunately too hot here, because the too hotness, or coming in too hot, is most definitely gonna make the ball roll down. You can see here that we are very close to rolling into the rough. So the key here is obviously to get yourself a nice speed towards the pin. So with this type of wind, apply maybe 3.5 bar of backspin instead, and that's gonna be a better chance for a hole-in-one. For hole number 5, this is a good chance for a drop, but to get this to be a good chance for a drop, we're gonna have to get over to the final part of the fairway before all the bunkers that you can see there at the top. So we're gonna use a ball with power 3 per minimum, and we're gonna use 4.5 bar topspin, 2 left spin, and stretching out to find our aim point to really have a look at how the first bounce look. Adjust max, no elevation, we're pushing up to max again. After that, we're gonna use all the curl we can and max overpower. And even though there is great balls in the mix here, we will of course attempt to hit perfect. But great balls is still fine, as we will bounce on the fairway. And just the goal is to get over the rough and the sand and land approximately here for a lovely view and a possibility to drop this one with a perfect. Now, second shot, short iron. Now, obviously, the difficult part here is to have to know if we come in too hot or too short. We're gonna go to minimum distance, and you can see here that I'm not having the top spin enough to play from minimum distance, which otherwise would have been beautiful. So what I decide is to aim on the green, using a little bit of backspin to leave the ball guideline approximately 2 green square short of pin. That's my estimation of the speed, and obviously I'm hoping here now that that is enough, so I'm not coming in short or I'm coming in too hot. 10% elevation, true club distance, adjustment is done, center the ball and hit perfect, and you're gonna give yourself a good chance for a drop. Bounce on the green, rolls up dead center for a lovely eagle here in hole number 5. Hole number 6 is, in my opinion, by far the toughest one to drop off the Phantom Mansion. And the reason for that is the second shot. That's a massively downhill approach, and it's going to be very difficult to do something decent from distance here. I'm choosing to play with a power 3 ball, and the reason for that is that I want to be able to reach with my sniper on the second shot to utilize the ball guideline. 4.5 bar top spin to right spin. Start at max position. We are using an adjustment that is max plus 10. Once we have done that, we're pushing up to max. Now, half a ball of right curl. You can see that I'm not using any overpower. I'm just making sure to hit perfect. But, you know, I lied. A little bit of overpower here. I actually thought I didn't do that in tailwind, but a little bit of overpower, where if you play in headwind, you're gonna have to go with max overpower. In crosswind, we go a little bit more. Now, safely down the fairway, because this is the easy part. Now it comes the difficult part. The difficult part here is not to secure the eagle. The difficult part is to give ourselves a chance for a drop from distance. I'm trying first to go a rough bump because it's a nice little spots here. However, though, I don't have the top spin enough to play that shot. So then I back up and I'm playing on the fairway instead. So going to be somewhere around minimum to maximum club. It all depends on how far your drive is going. And obviously you can see all the bumps that is on the fairway that we're trying to avoid. So leaving the ball guideline short here is a must in tailwind, otherwise there's risk of rolling into the rough on the back. So adjust 40% elevation, true club distance, and if you're gonna have to play a shot like this, it's gonna be a lot of luck involved if you're gonna drop this one from distance. Bounces on the fairway up towards the pin. Sure, we're getting it kind of close, and at least it's a safe eagle. Hole number 7, here we're gonna go for an aggressive rough bump. Why? It's because I do believe that the rough bump here is by far the best possible chance for a drop. As we're having headwind, it's important that we leave the ball guideline through the hole, otherwise we will always come short. Now, the result here that we will still come short, but at least the idea with thinking about in that term, that in headwind the ball guideline will compress, and we need then to compensate by using the ball guideline difference. That's the same if having tailwind, then we will have an extended ball guideline, and what we're going to have to do then is obviously to add more backspin and leave the ball guideline short instead. Medium distance plus 15 here, playing with a navigator as we don't really need any side spin, and the wind 2 is definitely perfect in a scenario like this. Bouncing into the rough, and we are rolling just short for an hole in one. So again, leave the ball guideline plenty through the hole in headwind, otherwise you risk going short like that. For hole 8, we're going to use the extra mile, and we're going to put ourselves on the third fairway is the goal, as we then have the possibility with the power of our club and our ball to get over to the final fairway. That is the attack we are going to choose to do. 4 top spin and 3 left spin. The goal here now, as you can see on my second bounce, is to actually make a bounce over on the rough patch. And why do I do that instead of going directly over? It's because I don't want to come in too hot, because then I risk rolling into the rough. So I need to kind of like think, okay, I'm doing a double bounce, because that will always leave me with a good speed and a consistent landing. Max plus 25. Half a ball of left curl. And it bounces nicely on the fairway, you can see here now, and it bounces again over to the last fairway. And from here we're gonna play a short iron towards the pin. Alright, so this is one of the first times I played this second shot, that's why it looks terrible. But that is when you're using some older recordings sometimes. So the idea with this is to play this rough bump, and the reason I want to play this rough bump is because then we're always going to have a solid ball guideline to go towards the pin. Sure, you can use backspin and bounce on the fairway if you would like, but then there is a risk that you don't have a decent ball guideline. Now I'm using the runner just to allow myself to have a decent topspin even with the lower level clubs as I'm having on this account. Elevation that I'm playing here now is no elevation, which is way too much. What I do recommend is to play minus 20% elevation due to this nature of this approach. A great ball, you can see even with a perfect ball we would most definitely would have missed this one to the right still. So minus 20% elevation is my recommendation and will give you a nice shot towards the pin for an eagle. Hole 9 is a difficult par 5. We're gonna bounce on the middle fairway here over to the fairway that is further up. And the reason we're gonna do that is that it then opens up for us to attack the pin by bouncing on the fairway or go for the rough bump, not just only going for the rough bump. So what I'm doing is that I'm gonna use some top spin and right spin here. You can see here as well, we're using a little bit of right spin, a little bit of top spin. So 3 top spin, 1 right spin, stretching out to max, adjusting from stretched out position. This so I can view the ball guideline all the way. Maximum distance plus 10, adding a little bit of overpower to compensate. And it bounces nicely on the fairway over to the other fairway, and we're from here leaving ourselves a sniper towards the pin. Second shot, you can see here now, we do have a rough bump possibility if we want to, or we can go for a bounce on the fairway. Me personally, I would go for a rough bump if I do have the spins to it, but here with sniper level 6, I don't have the spins enough to attack the pin, and then I'm just going to back up, and I'm going to use backspin and some left spin and bounce on the fairway instead. There's a little sticky spot here, as you can notice there when I'm moving around. And what I'm looking for here is obviously to make an estimation of the ball guideline, because of the Sniper 6 do not have the 4.5 ball guideline, which is a clear disadvantage in a scenario like this. 20% elevation, true club distance. Center the ball and hit perfect. A great right, obviously it's not going to go in. It's going to be close, but it's not going to go in. A perfect ball would definitely be giving it a good chance for a drop for an albatross. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division with various wins for the Haunted Mansion here in Golf Clash the game. Make sure to get the best guides on the market by scanning the QR code here on the screen, or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Tour guides and tournament guides for as low as $2.50. Thank you once again for watching. Good luck in your Golf Clash game.